For all of you who remember the whale who made a lot of money and almost always won when trading the markets before big news and announcements, many people think it was Barron Trump or someone closely connected to Trump because he opened short positions 1 minute before Trump's tariff announcements and huge long positions right before the November rally, the presidential election rally, and many other events. This whale has a killer win rate. The rate from November was especially good, and he made a lot of money from it. As you can see, he just opened up another Bitcoin and a new 10 times long on Solana because of this. People are basically thinking that a huge move is coming because of the on-chain analysis. A 10 times long on Solana is crazy because Solana is the trader is using a volatile altcoin that can go up and down a lot, and they are using 10 times leverage after the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. If bad news comes out, they could lose everything they have, but this trader has a perfect 100% win rate, even though the biggest liquidation event in crypto history happened just a couple of weeks ago. This trader did really well at this time, and you can see that their portfolio has been steadily growing. Another interesting fact is that real-time research into stock picks has shown that Barron Trump is essentially going all in on NVIDIA calls before his meeting with the company. This is very interesting, and it shows that Barron Trump has a history of making these kinds of trades, with this particular whale having a 100% win rate and taking these leverage positions right before a huge move. This makes me wonder, are we? If this whale thinks that Solana and Bitcoin will go up like this whale thinks, then XRP is likely to see some big price changes as well. When I look at the bigger picture, it supports what's going on here, but I think this whale knows something that we don't. I think there are a few different possibilities here. First, a trade deal will be finalized sooner than expected, which will make this whale a lot of money off of this long. Second, the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates more than expected, which was set at 25 basis points. And third, the markets will go up if either of these two things happen. The markets are currently pricing in a 25 basis point rate cut from the Fed. So if it's 50 or 75, things are going to heat up a lot. And we all know what happens in trade talks. Once a deal is reached, the markets like to take off as well. Another interesting thing about Trump and Barron and everything that's going on here is that Barron was deep in video calls a couple of hours before Trump made an actual announcement about NVIDIA. In fact, NVIDIA announced that they were going to invest $1 billion into Nokia. So he started these calls almost an hour before Trump made the announcement. There's definitely something going on here. The president's son would have access to some private information, and there's no law stopping him from using it. I think most of you watching today's video would probably go 10 times long on the video before a huge multi-billion-dollar announcement, since it's not even breaking the law. Some people think this should be illegal, and I agree with them, but the fact is that he's definitely doing it, as all of his positions, whether they're longs or... There are times when short sales in the crypto industry or on real stocks are very profitable. Reports from Trump and his administration suggest that the Baron has made hundreds of millions of dollars trading cryptocurrencies. We need to ask how he is doing this and look at these whales who have these ridiculously large positions. High win rates because we don't know which one of these is Barron Trump. But if we see that a whale consistently opens longs and shorts before major announcements and makes a lot of money every time, that's probably something we should look into a little more. Now, another really important thing is happening. Microsoft is announcing that it now has a 27% stake in OpenAI. Why is this important? Because Microsoft and all the other big companies are investing, and this is actually NVIDIA and Microsoft both benefit indirectly from Microsoft's investment in OpenAI. If Barron Trump knew about this Microsoft announcement and this 27% stake, as well as NVIDIA's announcement of a $1 billion investment in Nokia, it's very clear that this was an insider trade. That's just my opinion, though. We can't prove it, and I don't know if you had access to this information or not. Let me know what you think in the comments. The comments below, but the reason I think Microsoft having such a big stake in OpenAI is so important is because they have to invest billions and billions of dollars to make this happen. All of these companies can now invest multiple billions of dollars into AI projects and infrastructure, which is a really strong sign that companies don't invest this much money when they think their company is going to fail. They do it when they think there's a good chance they can make money. This is such a great chance that they need to seize it right away, or they risk falling behind in the race. And that's exactly what Microsoft is doing. This is a sign that the bigger tech companies are likely to continue to grow, and they are buying more stocks with their overvalued stock prices, which in turn are driving up the prices of other stocks. Make sure they're also doing well. No one knows how this will all turn out in the end. If there's a big AI bubble here, I don't know how that will look when it pops, but I do think there will be a collapse in the stock market and the crypto market that looks a lot like the dot-com bubble, but we haven't seen that yet, so I'm going to be patient because there are other things going on like rate cuts and Jerome Powell. We do know that when quantitative tightening ends in the US and quantitative easing begins, also known as turning on the money printer, a lot more money will come into the markets. Trump is still talking about checks for bad debt. Secondly, we know that Trump wants to fire Jerome Powell and aggressively cut interest rates to get them to 1%. If this happens, quantitative easing will go completely crazy. Now, we know that at the very least, it will take until May for Powell to be fired from the Federal Reserve, but Trump keeps saying that he'll be gone in a few months. Let me know what you guys think about that too in the comments. Right now, there's a 98% chance on the poly market that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates by 25 points tomorrow. So this is very interesting. That's interesting. It looks like this is what we're getting ready for. Maybe it will be 50. Who knows? Right now, there's less than a 1% chance that rates will go down by 50%. But yeah, this is interesting. A 25% cut is still great. That's already priced into the market. Let's just hope they don't decide not to cut rates or something like that. That would be terrible, but I don't think we have to worry about that. Their messaging has been very clear, but they have thrown us curveballs before, so that's something to maybe keep an eye on. Now, let's go back to the whale and this big move. One thing I've noticed about this, the FBB and Bollinger Bands have become much tighter, which is usually a very strong sign that the market is about to move. This is because when the bands become this tight, the bottom support line and the top resistance line are very close to each other, which gives whales and large institutional investors a very easy chance to buy tickets. They can push this in any direction they want. They could push it to the top resistance and get rid of the shorts. They could push it to the bottom and get rid of the longs. They could do either. This is something I've seen many times before. The bands get tighter and then there's a big move. In this case, the bands got tighter and then there was the biggest move.